The Film Basement is filmed in sunny West Hartford, Connecticut, in front of a live studio audience.
Hello, and welcome to a special episode of The Filmmaker's Basement. I'm Brandon.
And I am Jimmy.
And we are going to be we're going to do something a little bit different this week. Our corporate overlord, Jimmy Lucarz, is here. And he's going to be talking about the film he actually made pretty recently called Police 3. Jimmy, do you want to give a brief little summary of what that's about?
Yeah, Police 3 is a short film about, well, it deals with mental health in the military, more specifically security forces, which is the law enforcement, military police side of the Air Force. That we follow a character, Staff Sergeant Bailey, who is working a mid-shift after years of service, deployments, like betrayal, stuff like that. She's kind of hit the end of her rope, and she's in a moment of crisis, and she's basically about to end it all, which gets interrupted by an unexpected visitor, and it follows their conversation. Basically, it's like the whole film is within the patrol car and a little bit outside the patrol car, but we tried to build this whole story into a 9-minute film, so that way we could try to get the whole story across in the shortest amount of time. And I think we did a good job.
As somebody who has seen the film, I think you guys did a pretty great job. So I think my first question for you about this film is, why this script? Like, what spoke to you about this story that made you want to adapt it? Because this is your first actual short film out of college.
Yes, it is my first short film after college. Basically, the reason I wanted to make this film was, I'm trying to make a film, like, to send to film festivals to try to start my career as a filmmaker after college. But I don't want to just focus on that. I also want to create something that will hopefully generate a conversation about mental health in the military. I mean, also in the civilian world, it's good because there is a mental health crisis there too, but more specifically in the military. And I figured I could best focus on the career field that I was in, which was security forces. Unfortunately, they have some of the highest suicide rates in the Air Force. So it's like, let's focus on these guys, create a film that we can send to film festivals, but also offer to military installations for free. So to security forces squadrons around the world. So that way, during a training session or during a commander's call, they can show the film, and hopefully it'll help break the ice between the mental health providers and the defenders who they're trying to help, because there are a lot of good resources in the Air Force. It's just, if we're not having an honest conversation amongst ourselves and we end up zoning out what the mental health person is saying, or if there are fears in the military, especially security forces, about what would happen if they ask for help. Will their career end? And they're not going to get to the truth without having that open conversation. So if they just completely ignore whatever mental health has to say rather than talking to them, then nothing's going to get better. So the whole idea is to hopefully have the conversation, ask the questions of what we're doing right, what are we doing wrong, and how can we do better. Mm-hmm. I don't have all the answers, but we're not going to get to the answers without a conversation first.
Yeah, gotcha. And I think it's actually very interesting that you chose this film with everything that's going behind it, because this was actually the script you'd written back in college. I remember watching this film in one of our film classes. So I'm curious, what was the process of adapting this like? Because this was a film you wrote, I think this was 3 or 4 years ago at this point. So what was it like adapting essentially a script from a different version of you into something a little more updated, a little more modern, that speaks to kind of what the story you're trying to tell?
Well, first of all, don't be modest. You were in that film. You were the lead in that film.
Listen, I don't want to talk about it.
You were an amazing actor. I mean, the thing was, this was sophomore year that we did it.
Yeah.
And we had even less of a budget, significantly less experience. Mm-hmm. And it was basically for a grade type of thing.
Yeah.
But when I got out of college, I wanted, it's like, what can I run with? What are my best scripts? What can I invest the most time, energy, and finances into to create something that has the biggest effect and makes the best story. And honestly, Police 3 was that. I read it, rewatched it, and I was like, this. If we take the lessons I learned over the past 3 years after that film was made, it's like we can make a much better film. We can make a much better story if we hire real actors. Sorry, Brandon, but
No, listen, I think you did a good job there.
You're a filmmaker. Meg is an actor, and Meg is an amazing actor. Same thing with Matt. So like replacing you and Malcolm was easily the right decision. Love you to death, but we needed the right actors, just like we needed the best cinematographer, because Keewan J. Harrison, he's a cinematographer from 10 Out of 10 Productions out of Hartford, Connecticut. Great guy, way better cinematographer than me, easily. Like if you, though the scripts are kind of the same between the first version and this one, there is a huge difference. This one looks more theatrical, and our goal from the beginning, one of our many goals, was to create the most theatrical 9 minutes that we could with what we had. And hiring Keewan to do it was the best decision I could make. And I can't speak enough about, like, he came into the conversation. For months we were planning this, and like, I'm a new director, but he's been doing this for at least 10 years now. And he was like, Jimmy, what do you vision this as? How do you think? I'm like, I don't know. Theatrical. And he helped guide me a lot. Like everyone that worked on this project who had more experience helped me develop as a director. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, our goal was to try to create a better version. Like I had the outline, but then hired the people that are better than me to create everything, even the sound design. The only thing, like, I had like full creative control. Like, I mean, I'm in control. I was like, yes, I give the veto power, but like the only thing I was making sure it was perfect single-handedly without any help was the uniforms. But even that, I got help from military advisors, like my old supervisor, Mr. Lombardo. But every part had professionals that were helping, and we all helped each other too. Like we had Meg is not a veteran. She never served a day in her life in the military, but she's an incredible actress, and she had a military advisor, and so did Matt. We made sure that we all came into this with as much knowledge, as much of a plan as possible, and I think all of them knocked it out of the park.
I absolutely agree. I think all the actors honestly delivered a fantastic performance, particularly Meg. She is amazing in this movie. How is it like working with them on set and even before you even got to the set?
Well, Matt I knew for a while because I worked on a few sets with 10 Out of 10 Productions for like a project called Beige, which, it's a good project created by 10 Out of 10 Productions. But that's where I met Matt, and he's a stand-up comedian. And I was like, okay, well, automatically I kind of want to talk to him about it, because the character of Smith is that, airman who's like, he's still new, he's still happy, he still wants to like make you laugh, and he's that guy that gets everyone to laugh. Okay, that's easy, Matt. And the more I talked to him, the more I was like, yeah, this is an easy choice. It was figuring out who Bailey was, because whoever they were going to be had to deliver the best performance, because they are at that breaking point. You want to believe it in their eyes and their soul that they're that broken, basically. And Meg stepped up. Like, it was Matt suggested to her on set. I talked to her. She was all about it from the beginning. We did some table reads on the Zoom calls, and she was all about it. I was like, all right. She had some experience other than film school or other than acting school. She also has been on a few TV shows and minor characters, but we all know she's going somewhere. So it's great to have her as part of this project. But then she took off, like, one of our first meetings, she asked me, she's like, so Jimmy, give me the backstory for Smith's character, because we're supposedly best friends. I need to understand all this stuff. And what's my back? I'm like, I kind of want to leave it open for the audience because I want the people that are watching it to like kind of fill in the blanks with their own story. So that way they connect more to these characters. Like, oh, this guy reminds me of this. So we kind of wanted to leave a few things unanswered. But, Meg as an actor needs to know. And I didn't know this because, again, first short film after graduating college. And so I had to write this whole, like, history of her character from before, a good, like, 10-year history. I wrote it all. I made sure that we had Nyquist Johnson, one of the someone that used to be my troop, and now she's a tech sergeant in the Air Force, had her step in as a military advisor, and we basically helped Meg understand what it's like to be a security force, what it's like to go through these things that most of us who serve don't even think of trauma until much later, and got her in that mindset. Heck, we even got her to form her own beret, which is a big deal in security forces. You want that beret to be right. So, like, it's Meg did it all. Like, Meg was a professional from the very beginning. She wanted to understand this character. She wanted to understand a world that she's never been in. And she's honestly been awesome throughout the entire process. And I am willing to put her up and Matt up for any job that they want in the future. I would say that they deserve it because they're great. And I think Matt's going to be a great stand-up comedian. I think he's going to be a great producer in the future and actor. And I think Meg's going to win a lot of awards in the future because she brought her A game to a 9-minute film.
Yeah,
so
I entirely agree.
I can't say enough things, and if she's watching this and she's embarrassed by what I'm saying, well, then be a worse actor. That's all I have to say. You suck more, I'll have less to say. But if we go to any of these film festivals and win any awards, it's Meg's fault. As far as acting goes, yeah, she was on fire. But then again, I can talk great things about Meg, but then K1 did an amazing job as our cinematographer. I can't say enough nice things about him because, like, he was in some ways like a mentor on set and before. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and he's got tons of experience. And I feel sorry that he had to deal with me.
So I actually want to touch on that, funnily enough. So what was it? This was again one of your first times actually directing a professional short film on set. Yes. What was that experience like for you?
Traumatic. No, I mean, one of our professors at UHart said this. He's like, if you can be anything else other than a filmmaker, please be that. Like, I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Justin Lieberman. Anyways.
One of the best professors I ever had.
What was it like? It was a lot more work because, I mean, if you guys follow our page, we create a lot of stuff, whether it's defending, weekend safety brief, military history lesson with Andrew Poulin, or whatever name he's going by in that. You guys have your podcast, The Filmmaker's Basement, which I like how the set got downgraded significantly since we were at UHart. But, all those things are small, significantly smaller. They're like, hey, look, I got an idea. Let's see if it works. Let's grab a Nikon. Let's grab whatever we have and try to make something to make people laugh, think, cry, whatever. But not so much cry. But we want to create content and see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
This is the first project that it's like we are trying to actively create a film, not a web series. Because this is not a web series. We were trying to create something that's like the best quality we can. And we got a lot of support from donors, from family, from friends, from people who worked on set for free or lower than they should have. One of my coworkers at my actual job, he helped pay for the rental car we used. Mm-hmm. because we couldn't find a Ford F-150 to save our lives. If we were in the South, that would not be a problem. But, we're in Connecticut where everyone's got an Outback. So, or the VFW that we filmed on, like they supported us. So they helped, all these people helped us put something together that I think is the best quality that we were able to put out. No one skimped on working. Everyone worked. So like for me, it was that level of professionalism. I loved leading these people as their director because it was, in some ways, it was like being in the military again, having a team. But like me trusting people to be creative. Because there's stuff in that film that I didn't even think of. Like the idea of the heartbeat. That wasn't my idea. That was someone else's idea. And it's in there and it works. Or, when we were discussing the sound design, we were talking about like how do we increase the tension but without using music, because everyone uses music. A train was suggested and it was like, not many bases have trains. And then somehow it came up was like, what about a plane flying over it? It's an Air Force base. There's tons of planes. Oh yeah. We should have thought of that first. But like it's this whole teamwork of working together, seeing what works, what doesn't, listening to everyone's ideas. And then at the end of the day, yeah, I've got the veto or approval power as director. But like if I did it by myself, it would never be as good as that. And yeah, it just makes me that much more want to be a filmmaker, that much more want to create content and support other filmmakers.
So moving off set, what was the editing process like? Because you didn't edit this film. You passed it off to some professionals to actually edit. So what was it like essentially giving your baby to somebody else?
It was great. It was fantastic. Honestly, like editing is a very long, arduous process that you want someone who knows what they're doing to do. Like I edit everything that I make for Name Pending Productions because I'm trying to learn. The whole idea of our website, our YouTube page, other than to create content, is partially experimenting. Like you guys experiment with what works for podcasts. I experiment what works for comedy and, that kind of stuff. And the idea is to try to learn while we're all doing these things and, grow obviously a fan base and all that other stuff, but it's to learn. So when we're trying to create a professional film, we want to make sure we hire the best at everything, the best, editors, the best actors, and so on and so forth. So I had the ability, or I was lucky enough to be able to find and hire this guy named David B. Connors, who's a veteran of the Rhode Island Army National Guard. He was public affairs. I saw some of his work that he did, and he showed me. And it was really good. He did a lot of good educational stuff for the Air National Guard that would help hopefully recruit people and join. And like seriously, it was great, but all of it was informative more than anything. It wasn't narrative. It was like, oh, this is the gear that, air crew takes up in a C-130 or something like that. But it was all edited really good. And he's actually also the one who filmed it. So it's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. Let's give him a chance with a narrative. And he put the whole film together, looked good. There's a few things that we had to tweak, but that's the whole point of a director. It's like, oh, I like this other take more, or maybe we should cut it a little bit earlier, cut it a little bit later. But he, like, first version was like, oh, this is pretty close to what I want, so we're good. And once we trimmed off the fat and added what we needed to, we handed it over to our sound guy. Brandon Keoghan, who was our sound guy on set. We hired him to be our sound guy in post-production, basically the sound editor. And his company called Kinsman Sound, which, I mean, pretty much everyone we worked with on set, I would be like, hire them in a heartbeat. So with Kinsman Sound and Brandon, he wanted us to... he was like, what I want to do with this is, we're telling a story, but can't we help that story along with the sound, like the sound design? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a shot. And we worked a lot to try to get all these background sounds that you hear throughout the film to help emotional cues. Like we're building tension outside of the patrol car. We want something to build that. And music is used by a lot of movies, or the sound of a train approaching. Sure. But like I didn't want to use anything stereotypical. There's no trains on base, so there's that. Everyone uses music, and it's like, all right, everyone else does that. What can we do that's different that still builds tension? And we use the sound of a C-130 taking off and flying over, because that's just a normal sound on a military base. That like if once you're on, like, let's say Herbert Field long enough, it's just another C-130. You don't care. So, but it helps us build that tension. And then, there's the sound of a Humvee that triggers a memory. There's like all this little details, or the heartbeat that's throughout the entire film. Like these ideas were not mine. These ideas were other people's. Some of them mine, but most of them were from our team, and we saw what worked and what didn't. I mean, the worst case scenario is we throw something in there, it didn't work, so we take it out. So yeah, it was fantastic working with these guys. I could not have asked for a better team. It was Brandon's idea to include a singer-songwriter, and we went through a lot of veterans before we found Ariel, and she was she was awesome. Like she wrote and recorded that sound within 48 hours. She was great, and I have nothing but mad respect for her, and I think she's given the opportunity. I think she could be a great singer-songwriter. It's just, giving her that chance. And she's also another Air Force vet. She's former security forces. She was Meg's military advisor, Nyquist Johnson. That was her troop that she was stationed with. So it's like all of these people helped us get the right people on set. Whether it's Kiwan suggesting Brandon at the last minute, whether it was Nyquist suggesting Ariel, like everyone put everything they could to make this the best project. And I think that, everyone did a fantastic job. I'm just glad I got to be their director.
Mm-hmm. So now that you've kind of seen the final product of all of this work everyone's put into it, and you're showing it at film festivals, do you feel like it's deviated in any way from your initial vision? And if so, do you feel like it's deviated in a good way, or maybe something you didn't quite expect?
Deviated. Well, one thing let's go with what unexpected. Mm-hmm. I was at the Norwalk Film Festival showing this film. It was the first film festival we went to, and someone took me after, and they're like, "There's a mental health crisis in the military? I thought you guys were good." I'm like, I thought this was common knowledge. No, we are not good. We are very much not okay. So, yeah, it's that kind of threw me off because, do I want to bring awareness to the mental health crisis? Yeah, of course. But mainly, I thought that was already aware. I just wanted to motivate people to start trying to fix the problems, deal with the things that like we don't talk about, deal with the trauma, deal with, the reasons why people wouldn't ask for help, like deal with that. Like we know there's a problem. We're just not talking about the problem. To find out, in my travels that there are people that don't know. It's like, we just fought 2 wars. There's a problem. But, there's that kind of surprised me. As far as any deviations, the good news is like a lot of the hopes that I have are coming true. So the hope is to try to get this out to the defenders, and for those who don't speak Air Force, for the Air Force cops. I want them to see it because, again, I want them to talk. I want them to have that opportunity to say what's on their mind about like what's wrong with mental health, what's the stereotypes, or not stereotypes, but basically reasons they won't ask for help. Like I want that. The thing that kind of makes me happy is the fact that there are so many bases that have reached out, so many mental health providers, so many airmen. Like, yeah, we've had chiefs talk, we've had, commanders talk to me, we've had, mental health. Those are expected if they want help. But to have the airmen, the low-ranking airmen saying, hey, I think this would be great for our base, and then they reach out to their leadership, and then they make it happen. Like, that's great. This film has been seen over in Japan at Dakota. It's, there's bases that have permission and we'll be seeing it soon. I got to show it in person at Columbus Air Force Base, my first base. So, like, the fact that it's getting out there, the fact that you guys want to see it, it kind of reinforces what I wanted to do. It's like, okay, cool. We did all this work because we want you guys to see it. We want you guys to know that when you're in these dark moments, you're not alone. A lot of us have been there, me included. And like, we all want to help each other. And the cool thing about security forces is we're big enough to help each other. It is the biggest career field in the Air Force. Like, there's enough of us to help each other. And the security forces could be the best career you ever have. It's just, it's not if you're a bandit. So you're not alone. There are plenty of people that want to help you. It's just you need to reach out. And on the other side, they need to reach out too. We all need to be there for each other. Otherwise, things are just going to get worse. So.
Yeah. And I think for me, that's been the coolest part of this whole project, at least viewing it from the outside, is seeing that outreach on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere. It's just seeing people who are interested in watching this movie and like just talking with each other about it when they have seen it. I think in that vein, if anyone does actually want to watch this film, how can they see it?
So there's the issue, kind of. So, straight up, it's going to film festivals. We'll be honest with that. It's going to film festivals, and film festivals have basically rules that you cannot share the film online, or it can't be a theatrical release, which would have been fantastic. But, it cannot be out there for everyone to see because, if their films are out for everyone to see, why would you go to a film festival? So, there's that whole incentive to go type of thing. So I can't just share it online for all to see. However, I can do as many private screenings as I want. Mm-hmm. So I can go to whatever film festival I want for the most part. There are some that are picky that we have to be the first. Well, you didn't accept me fast enough, so that's your fault. But to get around that, that's why we are trying to outreach to squadron leadership, base leaderships, because if you guys set up a private screening at your unit or at your base or at your VFW or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, again, totally free of charge, we're not going to charge you for it. But if you set those up with us and let's say 100, 200 cops or even 5 cops see it in these private screenings, I'm not violating a single film festival rules. So it's like, we set those up, but it also gives the added benefit of, I didn't think of this when we first came with the plan. I wish I could say, yes, it was my genius plan, but it wasn't. It's by having these private screenings set up by the unit, that helps the unit set up as a training session with mental health providers. So that way it's not just, oh, I watched the movie and it was great or it was terrible. It's now we're going to have a conversation, basically a family meeting inside of the unit where we discuss what's broken and how to fix it. So this spurs those conversations by kind of forcing a commander's call or forcing a training session to deal with these problems. Because, that's kind of the goal of the film anyways. So it has that added benefit of like, okay, let's all sit down and talk. There's a problem, let's talk about it. And I got to witness that firsthand at Columbus. And I love that experience. Like, I would love to go to every single Air Force base that shows this if I could. I get to go to some, but I'm but a poor filmmaker that doesn't have all the resources yet. It'll happen. But when I got to, and when I will get to go in the future, it is incredible to see these defenders talk, watch it, talk, open up. That experience at Columbus was life-changing. I got to see a unit that was so broken when I was there actually kind of treat each other like a family. It gave me some closure that I needed. And hopefully other units will use this to help each other out. And again, as far as how to get it, just send us a message. Like, send us a message on Name Pending Productions. We'll get back to you. We'll figure out a game plan with your leadership. Make sure your leadership, give the blessing and whatever. And I mean, the only thing we ask for is, if you guys are cool with it, show it. If you guys want us out there, please help us with the expenses to get there. And if you say no to the expenses, we can't afford it, that's fine. Then you just get the movie without me, which might be better. But, that's pretty much it. We want there to be as many private screenings as possible. And then once your training section has access to it, and you've gotten the blessing from me, then you can use that as you see fit. Just give me a heads up before you use it. Just don't share it outside the unit because, again, film festival rules. But yeah, if you have a troop in need that you think needs it, cool, give me a heads up real quick. Or if you got a team coming back from a deployment, cool, or going out on a deployment or whatever, just reach out. We're not trying to make any money off the suicide crisis. We're trying to help stem it if we can. Yeah. Again, if Paramount's watching this or HBO Max, we have a great idea for a TV show that we want to talk to you about. But as far as the Defenders go, no, this is my gift to you. You guys helped me through my life. That's the least I could do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you hinted at it a little bit there, but are there any future projects you'd want to talk about now that you've kind of got your film out in the wild? Like, what are you thinking about next?
What I would love to do is make the Filmmaker's Basement into the world's most favorite TV show. Okay, that's your problem, not mine. I just pay you to do it. No, as far as like projects go, I mean, we would love to partner with like FX or Vet TV or whatever to make Defending into a TV series or something like that. That would be great. But one of our professors said, if you're ever going to go to a film festival with a short film, always go with a bigger plan for that film, because that film should be something that just gives a production company, studio, or an agent an idea of what you have. Something like bite size, basically. So myself and another veteran, Elena Stoffel, are writing a basically 10-part miniseries that deals with we changed her to an airman, but basically how Bailey got to where she is in this car, where she's at the breaking point, and then what happens after. And it's from the perspective of the airman on a small base, like, I just say Columbus. Not saying it is Columbus, but the cool thing about Columbus is because it's so small, the dorm residents are not just like cops in a dorm. It's cops, firefighters, paralegal, whatever. So you have these groups of friends that are not just one career. And that way we can show what these kids go through. Like, how old are you, Brandon?
25.
25? In the military, a 25-year-old has gone through a lot more drama, adventure, whatever, than your average 35-year-old. It's just because stuff happens. Things fall out of the sky all the time. There's domestics, there's whatever. So why not tell their story? Like, we have plenty of movies and TV shows about people deploying. Don't get me wrong, I love Band of Brothers, but that's a war movie. There is stories to be told about people who stay behind, like when you don't deploy, what happens when you deploy, what happens to your family left behind, the trauma, the personal growth, and all that stuff. There's a wealth of stories within just, let's say, Columbus Air Force Base, and that base is tiny. So why not create that? So, like, yes, I would like to tell a bigger story about the airmen of today. Not necessarily my generation, but today. And because they're just as worthy of a story as any other generation. Mm-hmm. So that would be my pitch if, I was sitting in Paramount Studios.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like you got some pretty big plans on the horizon.
Go big or go home,
working on. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's the Justin Lieberman School of Filmmaking, if I recall correctly.
Yes, we keep calling him out. I'm wondering if he's going to watch
Listen,
this.
He deserves it. He was pretty inspirational.
Well, if he watches it, he better put a comment down.
I sure hope so. But Jimmy, I want to thank you for being on our episode this week. Is there anything you want to plug before we, end the episode for today?
Definitely watch more of the Filmmaker's Basement because it is a fantastic show that I make sure I watch every week.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I mean, I have it at least on play at work in the background, so you get one more view. Hey, every view counts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you mean by plug? Are you talking about like out there in the real world what people should watch, or are you talking about like our stuff?
I'm specifically thinking about a specific event you're going to shortly after the release of this podcast.
How did I forget about that?
That you were reminding me of before we started.
Dude, I've got ADD, all right? That would have came back to me a day later. So yes, I don't know exactly when you're going to post this, but there's a film festival coming up between May 15th and May 20th called the GI Film Festival San Diego. It's in San Diego, California. Kind of makes sense. And we are going to be there for the entire event. Members of our team, Brandon can't make it because he's
poor.
Yes, because I don't pay him enough.
My poverty wages won't get me far enough.
Is that why you're on strike? So we are myself, Albert Guillermo, the guy who plays Master Sergeant Barkley, and he's also a producer, I guess. I'm using that term very loosely. And then Ellery Ames, one of our other producers, will be going to San Diego next week. And our plan is to be at every single screening, starting Monday all the way through the award ceremony because it's a film festival. So this sounds fun. And we looked at it through a lot of the films that are going to be there. They look great. They honestly look fantastic. The GI Film Festival picked amazing films, and I'm looking forward to seeing these films, to hopefully meeting the filmmakers, and asking them a lot of questions about their films. Because honestly, they look fantastic. Tuesday, we will not be there because we have a screening at an Air Force base. So Albert and I will be going to that. I look forward to meeting the airmen there. And but Ellery will be at the film festival on Tuesday. But otherwise, yeah, we'll be there the whole week. If you want to meet with us or talk to us, please reach out to us. I'm very excited. Like whether you're a filmmaker or just someone that's going to see Police 3, feel free to meet with us. Our screening, though, is on Friday night during the 9:50 block, which is the late night short film thing. So we're kind of one of the last films being shown, which, again, makes me that much more happy. I don't know if they did it on purpose, whatever, but I'm very grateful to the GI Film Festival for that. And yeah, that's my plug. Like, whether you go to see our film, which obviously I want you to, if you're in San Diego, if you're in the San Diego area, get whatever tickets you can. Go see these films. They look great. There's like the making of Top Gun 2, Too Fast 2 Maverick, or whatever it's called. There's Vet TV is going to be there with their thing. Let's talk about the war. Like, there's a lot of films, and I'm not thinking of most of them. So the fact that we get to go is great. The GI Film Festival has been great this entire time, keeping us up to date, helping filmmakers get word out about their films. They're fantastic. So again, please, if you're in that area, go. I think would be great. And considering most of the people that would end up watching this are veterans, this is a film festival for you guys and for the family of veterans or anyone that's interested in military movies. But yeah, there's thousands of reasons to go. And I can't believe Brandon's not coming.
Well, if I somehow win the lottery or get a massive bonus, maybe I'll jump on in. But Jimmy, I want to thank you for being on the podcast this week. Hopefully, hey, maybe afterwards we could do a debrief on the film festival and talk about some of the things you saw there. Might be cool.
I am all for that. Heck, if I've got nothing to do during the day at the film festivals, yeah, we can do stuff too. So yeah. I want to talk about these films. And if you're a filmmaker going to the film festival, the other plug would be if you're a filmmaker and you're going to the film festival, or if you're just a filmmaker in general, hit up Brandon. Let him know because he would love to interview you. I know I'm throwing you under the bus, but I am your corporate overlord.
My corporate overlord. That's where I get my sweet $12.50 a week from. Thank you, Lord and Savior Jimmy Lucarz.
I like how $12.50 sounds like a lot more than the $12.50 you actually get.
Oh man. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to our episode this week. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we will see y'all next week. Thank you for listening.